Well, hello there, crafty friends. Suzanne here in the studio today with another video using some retired stamp sets from Stampin' Up. Let's get right to it, shall we? Okay, the first stamp set that I used was this Wildflower Meadow, and it is like a background stamp, and then it has a matching embossing folder that goes with it. So that was the first thing I started playing with. And here is my card. Let me zoom in. Okay. The way I did this is I used soft succulent, I believe it was, for the stamp, and I stamped it, but then I went in and I used my chamois to wipe off some of the flowers, and then I used my Lemon Lolly Stampin' Right marker to color those again. And then I stamped it. Then I ran it through the embossing folder. I'm not sure you can kind of see there that it's embossed. So that makes the flower parts stand up a little bit. And then I finished it off with a little bit of ribbon here and this You're Never More Than a Thought Away. That came from an old Celebration set called Whimsical Words. And here, this punch is actually called a pretty punch, the pretty punch. So as you can see here, I edged with my Stampin' Right marker. I also edged the label. And then I punched some of the little flowers out as well and added them to the card. And then I also decided to go ahead and outline the bird at the top to make it stand out a little more too. So there's two stamp sets and one card for you. What's next? Well, then I went to Sunshine Sayings. This is an older set here. And it's I really like all the words, and they're kind of timeless, but these elements, especially this flower, looked a little dated. So I thought, okay, what can I do to try and make this look more contemporary? So let me show you what I did. I actually got a couple of cards out of this. Here we go. First of all, I just used some cardstock here and I stamped I actually used Versamark here. So it just it just darkens the cardstock. And then for the green here, I actually stamped off. So I did second generation stamping to get that very light. And then I punched myself a couple of these Starburst with a punch from Stampin' Up. And then I stamped the flowers. And then I overstamped, of course, in this color, this swatch here. And then on top of that, I also used some Wink of Stella. I don't know if the camera will pick up the glitter. So I kind of used the Wink of Stella in that same pattern. So it's a very eye-catching card. I'm not sure it looks as modern as I had hoped. And then I used the two different colors, Sending Hope and Hugs, for the sentiment. So there's that one. So I wasn't going to give up yet. I was going to try again. So here's the second card I did. Here I've got a black layer that's embossed. And then again, I did the... Actually, I think I stamped off with ink on this one here for the green flowers. And then I did stamped one, and this is called the lasting label here. So I did one in white and one in black, and then I cut the black one in half and then just scooched it out a little bit so it kind of makes it a separate layer under there. And you can't really tell that it doesn't come all the way out here. And then I did the stem and the leaves there. So that was kind of fun. It was a little more, I was kind of leaning into the graphic look of it. And then again, this congrats was from that same set, Sunshine Sayings. All right, moving on. The next one I worked with was Vintage Leaves. And this has matching leaflets, framelits. So I was trying a couple of things here. Okay. The first one I did is pretty straightforward. Here on this square, I actually I stamped the image, and then I added additional color into it with markers. Actually, I think I used markers here and not blends. And then I sliced that into 3 slices and put it on another layer. And then I also used that same stamp and made sort of my own pattern paper here in this layer. And then I've got my little sentiment out here to the side. I'm trying to remember what stamp set that is from. We'll probably come across it here. And then I added some enamel dots. So that was the first one. So then, having done that background paper, then I used a couple of different colors and several of the different stamps, and I made some background paper. And then I just did a single color stamp, and then I did a die cut of a different color, the same as my card base here, and then I just offset that a little for these two. And then I finished it off with birthday wishes and some of these gold parentheses I had. This punch is the, is that the Modern label, I think? I just recently had to go back and I labeled all my punches, and I think I remember most of them. Maybe I'll just have to do a video using all retired punches. That would be fun too, wouldn't it? And there's stamp sets that go with. Okay, and then here I added a little bit of ribbon. So I thought that turned out really pretty. And then the idea for this card came from my Upline's upline, Karen. And here, what she had done is she had just used a color wash behind, die cutting out this from the front. And I not only did that, then I also went back and I did 2nd generation stamping of the actual leaf too. So when you look at that, it looks really cool. And then here I stamped on white, and then I used some Copic markers, not Copic, Blends markers here on this one. And then I also added this tone-on-tone stamping here, and a bow, and a couple of gold glittery dots. Okay, so again, that was Vintage Leaves, and the birthday wishes was from Occasional Quotes. All right, what's next? Okay, this one is fun. Next, I used Pop of Petals, and this has a matching punch. Very, very cute images here, and very striking. So here is the first one I did. It looks like I got a little smushed on that. Okay, here we go. So again, I just did the background by stamping. This is Basic Beige, Stampin' Up's new color that I'm just really loving. And then I did a horizontal, and then I used some old Stampin' Up ribbon here. And then I just did a square. And this is a pattern. This was an old Close to My Heart pattern. It was called pattern number 21. So there are the quick measurements for you if you want them. And I just think it turned out really cute. Compared to the pattern, I added the ribbon, and then I also did this dotted edging. And then I've got some enamel dots. And then I took this flower, this is the same one that's here, I stamped it twice and cut it out and then offset it a little bit. So I liked how that turned out. And then here is the next one. Now here I employed a couple of different things. Here you'll see Thinking of You. That comes, and this little flower here, both come from the Silhouette Sentiments, which was an old Hostess one. And here again, I was using another Close to My Heart pattern. So this is the pattern. So there you have the measurements if you're interested. And then I use for this top layer, I'm just using cardstock here. I'm using 3 different colors, Mint Macaron, Pool Party, and Baja Breeze. And then on the top layer, I just used the Baja Breeze ink, which this is Baja Breeze cardstock. I used the Baja Breeze ink, and I used an old Stampin' Up! Background. This one is sanded. I love this one. This one I have used a lot. It might be my most used background stamps. And I prefer having these on the wood blocks versus having to mount them on an acrylic block or even using your stamping platform tool. I really prefer that. So, okay, here I did, since I had 3 colors here, I had all of the inks. So I did 1 flower in each, and then I did some of these tendril stems. I did 1 of those in each color. And then I finished off with some enamel dots. So, didn't that turn out pretty? Okay, there's that one. I told you before that I had worked with some of the Sweet Thoughts, Memories, and More's envelopes and card bases. And I had made some cards using the actual cards, but then I still had some paper that was going to go with it. So I made some cards doing some stamping and using some paper. Okay, and I was basically using this Banner Blessings stamp set and the matching dies. So that made pretty quick work of doing all of the banners. And then I also used this kind of eclectic. I used some of the butterflies. I used this, and then I even used this on the inside of one of the cards. So let's take a look there. Okay, here's the first card. As you can see here, I have 3 banners. One is of cardstock, and the other 2 are of pattern paper. And then I've stamped and punched the butterflies out of all 3 colors. And then I've added some little dots at the end. This thank you was from another stamp set. So you know me, once I start pulling these out, it was from Love You Still. So that's the first one. Then let's turn those banners the other way, shall we? Here we've got the pattern paper behind and the cardstock on front. And then I've done the shorter banner and I've outlined it using my Stamping Right marker with stitches. And I've stamped the thank you, and again I've got the butterflies. So that was pretty. This one here, I actually had a little bit of the scraps left of one of the cards, so I've used that, and I've done 3 banners in the middle across this horizontal band, and then a couple of butterflies, and here, tone on tone, a little kindness goes a long way. Isn't that pretty? I liked how that turned out too. Okay, here's another horizontal. Here I have actually used the A Joyful Heart is Good Medicine. And again, here we have the 3 banners and they're offset, and I've lined up because those dies are made so that you can line up this angle here. And then I've just got 3 enamel dots. Like that one. I was really going through that 6x6 paper. Here's a pretty straightforward one where I've just layered them. 1, 2, 3. And then this joyful heart fits perfectly across that widest banner. And then we've got 3 colors of enamel dots. Here's another version. Here we've offset. And again, how much do I decide to offset? I tried to put this banner so it's right in the middle of this one, which also makes it right in the middle of this one. So these two are lined up, and then this one's kind of slid in there in the middle. So I think that looks real good. And again, you got 6 different sizes here. And if you need them shorter or taller, you can always trim off the straight edge to make them work for you. And then here is one more. Here, my sentiment, this "You Are My Sunshine" was left over, and this card here were both left over from cards from that Sweet Thoughts. And then here I have 5 of the banners, all the same size. And then I've lined those up so you just get to see the corner. So I thought that looked really good. So, and then on this one, I actually put the starburst inside. So that meant I used up this entire pack of the Sweet Thoughts, Memories and More cards and envelope bases. Okay, that's it. That's not as many stamp sets or cards as last time, but you can rest assured that soon I will be back with another installment. I am really enjoying working through all the stamp sets on my bookcase. All right, as always, I appreciate your time and attention. Bye for a bit.